Welcome to the CompTIA Project Plus Prepcast by baremetalcyber.com. In professional project management, risks, issues, and change requests are not isolated processes. They form a continuous, interconnected chain that reflects both the proactive and reactive sides of project control. Risks represent uncertainty events or conditions that may occur and affect the project's objectives. Issues represent reality problems that have already occurred and are now impacting the project. Change requests represent formalized responses to those realities when they require alterations to approved scope, schedule, cost, or quality baselines. A risk can evolve into an issue if it materializes, and an issue can lead directly to a change request if the impact cannot be resolved within the current plan. Understanding how these elements connect is essential to managing both the planned and unplanned aspects of a project lifecycle. The progression from risk to issue is a natural consequence of uncertainty becoming reality. A documented risk in the risk register may remain theoretical for the entire project, or it may occur, at which point it is reclassified as an active issue in the issue log. Not all risks will become issues, but every issue that could have been foreseen was at one point a risk whether or not it was formally documented. This underscores the importance of thorough and continuous risk identification, as the earlier a potential problem is recognized, the more time the team has to prepare a response and reduce its impact. Some risks have the potential to influence change requests even before they materialize. For example, a high-probability risk with significant scope implications may justify contingency planning that includes scoped adjustments, budget shifts, or resource allocations. In these cases, the team may prepare pre-approved fallback actions that can be implemented quickly if the risk becomes real. This proactive approach means that if a change request is required, much of the groundwork, such as impact analysis, stakeholder communication, and documentation, has already been completed. This preparation shortens response time and reduces administrative strain during moments when fast action is critical. When a risk becomes an issue, it introduces new variables into the project environment variables that were not part of the baseline established during initiation and planning. An issue might demand more resources, create rework, or require a complete replanning of certain work packages. If the issue affects any of the approved baseline scope, schedule, cost, or quality, a formal change request becomes necessary. This request serves to document the deviation, secure stakeholder approval, and authorize updates to the baselines so that the project remains under controlled governance. The issue log thus becomes a primary source of input for the change control process, bridging the gap between day-to-day problem-solving and formal project governance. Real-world examples illustrate the chain reaction from risk to issue to change request. A project might identify a risk of vendor delay during the planning phase. If that delay occurs, it becomes a schedule issue, potentially pushing milestone dates beyond the contract's allowable limits. To address this, the project manager may need to submit a change request to extend deadlines or adjust deliverables. Similarly, a known technical integration risk could materialize as a compatibility problem during execution, creating an issue that forces a redesign and triggers a scope change request. In regulated industries, a risk of regulatory uncertainty might evolve into a compliance violation, creating an urgent issue that requires immediate process changes documented through formal change control. Each example reinforces that strong risk management reduces the element of surprise and provides a head start in handling issues. Maintaining alignment between the risk log, issue log, and change log is critical for ensuring traceability and clarity. These records should be updated in parallel and cross-referenced wherever applicable. If a risk materializes, its corresponding issue entry should reference the original risk entry. If that issue leads to a change request, the change log should cite the related issue. This creates an auditable trail that shows cause and effect from initial risk identification through to formal changes in project scope, time, or cost. Such traceability not only improves internal coordination, but also supports compliance audits, stakeholder reporting, and lessons learned analysis after project closeout. Proactive risk ownership plays a major role in preventing risks from escalating into costly issues. Each significant risk should have an assigned owner responsible for monitoring it, identifying trigger conditions, and taking early action when needed. These owners must have clearly defined thresholds for escalation and know exactly when to engage the project manager or initiate contingency measures. By empowering owners to act early, the project can reduce both the number and severity of issues that ultimately require formal changes. The project manager's role in this ecosystem is to oversee the integration of risk, issue, and change management processes. This includes ensuring that impacts from issues are promptly evaluated and routed through change control when necessary, facilitating communication between risk owners and the change control board, and maintaining visibility over the entire chain of related events. The project manager acts as the central link that keeps the flow of information and decisions moving efficiently between proactive risk planning and reactive issue resolution. Stakeholder communication is another essential element. Stakeholders should be informed when a risk becomes an active issue, including details on the anticipated impact, proposed mitigations, and any decisions they may need to make. If the situation escalates into a change request, stakeholders may be directly involved in reviewing and approving the proposed adjustments. Consistent, transparent updates not only build trust, but also demonstrate that the project is being managed responsibly, even under changing conditions. When a risk transitions into an issue, that shift must be recorded in a way that preserves the context and history. The issue log should reference the original risk entry from the risk register so that anyone reviewing the project history can trace the cause and effect relationship. If that issue ultimately triggers a change request, the change log should also link back to the issue entry that initiated it. This creates a full audit trail across all three records, showing the life cycle from initial identification through final resolution. Such traceability is essential for accountability, process improvement, and regulatory compliance in industries where external audits are common. Once an issue is documented, timely resolution becomes the priority. Every issue has the potential to disrupt scope, schedule, cost, or quality if left unresolved, and delays can allow a manageable problem to escalate into a more severe situation. Assigned issue owners must act within defined escalation timeframes to contain and correct the problem. This requires not just technical problem-solving skills, but also the authority to mobilize resources and make necessary adjustments. The longer an issue remains open, the greater the likelihood it will require formal changes to the project baselines, which in turn increases cost, complexity, and the risk of stakeholder dissatisfaction. Evaluating whether an issue warrants a formal change request is a critical judgment call for the project manager. Not every issue needs to go through the full change control process. Some can be resolved internally without altering baselines. The determining factor is whether the resolution will affect approved scope, schedule, cost, or quality targets. If any of these are impacted, a change request must be initiated immediately to secure the necessary approvals and update the baselines. This evaluation step helps avoid unnecessary bureaucracy while still protecting the integrity of the project governance framework. Once a change request is triggered, the formal change control process begins with the submission of a request form. This submission should include context from the issue log, the impact analysis, and a proposed resolution plan. The request is then reviewed either by the project manager or, for significant changes, by the Change Control Board, CCB. The review process ensures that changes are evaluated objectively, considering both their necessity and their alignment with project objectives and constraints. Approved changes are incorporated into the project plan, and their implementation is tracked to verify that they resolve the issue without introducing new problems. Because resources and decision-making bandwidth are limited, issues must be prioritized for change consideration. High-impact or high-urgency issues should be reviewed first, especially those affecting critical path activities or highly visible deliverables. Lower priority issues may be logged for monitoring or deferred until more urgent matters are resolved. Many organizations use a scoring system that considers factors like potential cost impact, schedule delay, regulatory exposure, and stakeholder sensitivity to categorize issues into tiers. This structured approach helps ensure that attention is focused where it will produce the greatest benefit for project outcomes. One of the most overlooked problems in this cycle is change fatigue, when teams and stakeholders feel burdened by frequent change requests. Overuse of the change control process can slow down project momentum, create frustration, and reduce receptiveness to necessary changes. Often, this fatigue is the result of insufficient risk planning in the early stages of the project. By strengthening risk identification and mitigation practices, project managers can reduce the number of issues that escalate into changes, and when changes are needed, they can bundle related changes together or use pre-approved changes to streamline implementation. Trend analysis is a powerful tool for identifying patterns in the risk issue change lifecycle. If the same type of issue repeatedly generates change requests, this may signal a deeper systemic problem, such as overly optimistic estimates, inadequate resource allocation, or recurring technical weaknesses. By reviewing change logs and linking them back to their root causes in the risk register, the project manager can identify these trends and implement preventive measures, such as refining estimation techniques or enhancing quality controls. It is equally important to close the loop by linking change approvals back into updated risk plans. Any approved change can create new risks that must be logged, assessed, and monitored. For example, a scope expansion approved to resolve an issue may introduce additional dependencies or resource constraints that need active management. The implementation plan for a change should include a risk impact statement, and the risk register should be updated to reflect these new realities. This ensures that even after a change is implemented, the project's risk posture remains clearly understood and under control. Leveraging lessons learned is the final step in strengthening the organization's maturity in managing risks, issues, and changes. After a risk escalates to an issue and results in a change request, the entire sequence should be reviewed during post-project or phase-end evaluations. Teams should discuss what warning signs were present, what actions could have been taken earlier, and how effective the eventual change was in resolving the issue. This documentation feeds directly into the organization's best practices and training materials, helping future projects to recognize and handle similar situations more effectively. The benefits of managing the risk issue change lifecycle as an integrated process are substantial. It ensures that problems are handled with consistency, decisions are supported by documented evidence, and stakeholders have a clear view of why changes are made. Risks are more likely to be addressed before they become crises, issues are resolved efficiently, and changes are justified, traceable, and aligned with strategic goals. This integrated approach creates stability in the face of uncertainty, improves stakeholder confidence, and positions the project team as a disciplined, capable force in delivering outcomes. In summary, risks, issues, and change requests form a continuous cycle of project management activity. By documenting their relationships, monitoring them in parallel, and linking them through a clear audit trail, project managers can maintain control over both expected and unexpected events. This disciplined life cycle not only improves exam readiness for certification candidates, but also represents best practice for managing complex, high-stakes projects in any professional environment. Thank you for listening. Please follow baremetalcyber.com on social media and check out our books at cyberauthor.me.